I believe it. My challenge this week was reading the technical reports on AI deepfakes while at the same time trying to understand the clandestine supply chains for ballistic missiles.
Right.
It's like studying a highly organized crime syndicate that is also capable of running a massive media empire.
That collision, the
Yeah.
physical and the cognitive, that's exactly our mission today.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our learner has tasked us with something truly critical, to synthesize the traditional geopolitical struggle represented by Iran's axis of resistance
Yeah.
with the entirely new digital battlefield. We need to achieve a thorough understanding of this rapidly evolving conflict landscape.
And we're drawing from some incredible sources.
We are policy briefs on Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis.
All the way down to granular reports on covert military infrastructure and the latest academic research on AI propaganda in the region.
It's a vital synthesis because we are no longer looking at disparate regional actors. We are mapping a unified, multi-front challenge that seeks to undermine regional stability and Western interests through two perfectly synchronized dimensions: kinetic warfare and cognitive saturation.
Ready to jump in?
Let's dive.
So we have to start at the beginning. The axis of resistance.
Yeah.
The name sounds powerful, but what is its tangible definition, and why is this particular network so enduring?
What's fascinating here is the network's coherence, despite its internal diversity. We really have to define the axis of resistance as a coordinated network of armed Islamist extremist actors.
Okay, both Sunni and Shia.
Both Sunni and Shia, which is key. And they are all strategically supported, financed, and enabled by the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is Iran's primary foreign policy tool.
A mechanism for projecting power.
Exactly. A way to project power and influence across the Middle East without the prohibitive cost or the political risk of deploying its own conventional military forces directly.
So Iran provides the infrastructure, the funding, and the strategic doctrine.
And the proxies, they're the ones who execute the attacks and, I guess, absorb the consequences.
Precisely. And the objectives driving this massive investment are clear, as detailed in the policy briefs. There are really three interlocking goals that guide the entire axis.
Okay.
First, the explicit stated goal is to completely expel all perceived Western and especially American influence from the Middle East.
And the second goal centers squarely on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but with a regional twist, it seems.
Yes, the second objective is crucial for regional stability. They seek to block any path toward a two-state solution and, critically, derail the Arab-Israeli normalization efforts.
So things like peace deals with the Gulf states.
Especially with key Gulf Cooperation Council nations like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the UAE. Blocking those deals is a top priority.
That immediately reveals that this is a struggle for regional dominance, doesn't it? It extends far beyond the immediate conflict zone.
It does.
For Tehran, this is less about simple border disputes and more about
Right.
theological and ideological leadership.
You've hit on the core geopolitical purpose. Iran, being a non-Arab, Shia-majority state, faces intense competition for legitimacy from, Sunni Arab powerhouses.
Particularly Saudi Arabia.
Exactly, Saudi Arabia. So by championing the cause of Palestine and empowering groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, Iran positions itself as the only true vanguard of the Islamic world committed to resisting Israel.
It's a way to transcend those sectarian divides.
It is. It allows them to leverage the issue of Palestine as a unifying ideology for regional influence. It's a highly successful political maneuver.
Let's look at the composition then, because this truly is a multi-front threat.
It creates a layered, comprehensive map of coercion. We start with Hamas.
The Palestinian Sunni Islamist group, mostly known for Gaza, but as we'll get into, they've built this massive shadow military presence in Lebanon.
A huge one. Then you have Hezbollah in Lebanon, widely considered Iran's most powerful and strategically important proxy.
And the source you've mentioned, a staggering figure for Hezbollah's funding before the 2018 sanctions.
Prior to the full imposition of U.S. sanctions, yes. The U.S. Treasury estimated that Iran was providing Hezbollah with approximately $700 million a year.
$700 million a year.
A year. Now think about that for a moment. That is not just a slush fund for weapons.
No.
That is a significant portion of the annual defense budget of a small nation-state. This level of investment allows Hezbollah to maintain a standing professional army, extensive social services, a powerful media wing,
And their arsenal.
and an arsenal estimated to include well over 150,000 rockets, many of which are precision-guided.
It effectively makes Hezbollah a state within a state in Lebanon. a military power that often surpasses the official Lebanese armed forces.
That's a perfect way to put it. And beyond the northern front, we have the Houthis in Yemen, a Zaidi Shia group, who have demonstrated their strategic evolution by threatening key global maritime routes.
We'll definitely come back to that.
And the axis also includes Palestinian Islamic Jihad, or PIJ, which is, fully dedicated to military action against Israel, the Assad regime in Syria, which provides a critical logistical hub, and various powerful Shia militias in Iraq.
So it's a network that ensures pressure can be applied simultaneously on Israel's northern, southern, and eastern flanks.
All at once.
To understand how these pieces move together, we have to look at the central command structure. The IRGC. This isn't just about military might, is it? It's about institutionalizing the revolution itself.
Right. The sources define the IRGC, the Islamic Republic Guard Corps, as the ideological vanguard of the regime.
Its mission.
It was established with a singular mission: to secure the Islamic Revolution internally and critically, to export it regionally. Their vision is hardwired into their structure, viewing any conflict through an existential lens against the Arab Zionist Western axis.
And the Quds Force is the sharp edge of that ideological weapon.
The Quds Force is the extraterritorial unit responsible for leading and executing the entire proxy strategy. And they don't just send money. They run highly sophisticated logistical and military networks.
We're talking advanced weapons.
We're talking about smuggling advanced weapons, not just small arms, but complex systems. Precision-guided munitions, ballistic missiles, advanced drone technology.
And they're moving all this through complex routes.
Very complex. Aerial and maritime routes through Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon.
How does that smuggling work on the ground? I mean, it must be incredibly difficult to move ballistic missiles through multiple countries.
It relies on deep corruption and an acceptance of non-sovereign borders.
Yeah.
The Quds Force utilizes what are essentially safe passage corridors established by Iran's influence.
They're not just sneaking things across.
Not always. They often smuggle disassembled missile components to be reassembled by local experts, like the ones we'll discuss in the Construction Bureau. They leverage diplomatic pouch privileges, use commercial shipping routes disguised as civilian cargo, and they rely heavily on the local militias they fund to secure the transit points. The efficiency of this network is a key part of their strategic success.
And this creates a physical, unbroken geopolitical corridor of control that reaches from Tehran right to the Mediterranean.
That corridor is the spine of the axis. Iran's influence runs seamlessly through Iraq and Syria, which provides the strategic depth and logistical capacity needed to arm proxies directly on Israel's borders.
Specifically, Golan Heights and South Lebanon.
Exactly. And the threat isn't just external. The sources confirm that Iraqi Shia militias, fully integrated into the Quds Force network, have already claimed multiple drone and rocket attacks targeting Israel, using this corridor for launch staging.
This expansion is deeply concerning, and the sources make it clear that the IRGC's global reach is also extensive. They are not confined to the Middle East.
No, this is where the threat becomes global and deeply personal for Western nations. The IRGC's activities extend far beyond supporting militias.
How so?
Since 2020, they've been linked to no fewer than 15 kidnap and assassination plots in Britain alone.
15 in the UK.
Yes, targeting journalists, high-profile dissidents, or individuals perceived to be linked to Israeli or Iranian opposition. They use covert surveillance, intimidation, and sometimes direct action executed by European-based operatives.
The audacity of running multiple assassination plots on the soil of a major Western power. I mean, targeting journalists who are simply reporting on Iran, that's a massive violation of sovereignty.
It demonstrates a fundamental belief that sovereign borders do not apply to their ideological mission. Furthermore, they are actively involved in soft power projection, radicalization, even in Western universities, delivering anti-Semitic speeches and recruiting sympathizers to their cause.
The goal is to sow internal division.
And to silence dissent globally.
Let's circle back to the Houthis for a second, because their recent actions have really driven home how this regional axis translates into global economic disruption.
The Houthi attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea are perhaps the most potent example of how the axis leverages its strategic position. This is not just harassment, it's significant economic warfare.
Right, the Bab al-Mandeb Strait.
Exactly. It's a critical choke point that typically sees 10 to 15% of global trade volume pass through, including a huge amount of oil and gas.
And what's the measurable impact of this disruption?
The impact is measurable in billions. By attacking dozens of ships, including hijacking high-value assets like the Galaxy Leader, The Houthis have forced major shipping conglomerates, Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd, BP, to completely reroute their fleets.
All the way around the Cape of Good Hope.
Right, adding thousands of miles and weeks of transit time. This rerouting imposes significant costs on Western shipping firms, drives up insurance premiums, and increases consumer prices due to delayed logistics.
So Iran uses the Houthis to hit the global economy and Western interests directly, achieving massive geopolitical leverage without firing its own weapons.
It's a textbook example of layered deterrence. The Axis structure allows Iran to absorb international pressure or sanctions,
Yeah.
yet still maintain the ability to strike back through proxies who are, shielded from direct accountability.
The overall picture is comprehensive.
It's comprehensive regional destabilization that targets infrastructure, commerce, and the internal political stability of its rivals.
That sets the stage for the kinetic side. Now, let's pivot entirely to the cognitive battleground. The reports highlight Hezbollah's pivot into sophisticated offensive information warfare,
Right.
centered on a platform called Al-Qanatic Media. This suggests that military deterrence is now intrinsically linked to undermining the enemy's will to fight.
That's the key strategic pivot. When state or quasi-state actors perceive that they cannot achieve decisive military superiority, they shift resources to undermine the enemy's internal cohesion.
Their national resilience.
Exactly. Information warfare, specifically tailored influence campaigns, becomes the weapon of choice to achieve what rockets cannot.
And Al-Qanatic isn't just broadcasting to the world. The sources stress that it is hyper-targeted at the Israeli audience, specifically in Hebrew.
Its design is ruthlessly audience-specific. Al-Qanatic Media launched a fully functioning Hebrew language website and an active Telegram channel
Which ensures instant, direct circulation.
at the beginning of 2024. The timing is crucial. It was designed to coincide with the heightened tensions of the Al-Aqsa flood war, maximizing its impact during a period of national trauma and uncertainty.
The stated goal by the outlet's director, Dr. Mohammed Shams, is pure psychological warfare. He's framing its propaganda as a necessary public service.
Shams called it a strategic move to another arena of confrontation, directly addressing settlers in occupied Palestine in their own language.
And the mission.
The mission is to reveal what security and military censorship conceals from their media outlets. Think about that. They're trying to position themselves as the truthful, objective counterpoint to official Israeli media.
Intending to break that bond of trust.
The crucial bond of trust between the Israeli public and its military and political institutions.
It's a sophisticated operation. Although it's not branded with the official logo of Hezbollah's main channel, Al-Manar, the alignment is unmistakable.
Correct. While maintaining a thin veneer of separation, the thematic focus, the director's consistent public support for Hezbollah's doctrine, it all makes its source clear.
So it's influence warfare with plausible deniability.
Exactly. It allows Hezbollah to operate more freely in the global digital space while still achieving its strategic goals.
Let's analyze the key narratives they push, because these seem designed to systematically dismantle Israel's image of deterrence and internal stability. The first one is the proxy state idea.
This narrative strikes right at the heart of national pride and strategic autonomy. Al-Qanatic relentlessly claims that Israel is no longer an independent state, but rather a strategic subordinate, acting solely on behalf of the United States.
The reports cite specific examples of how they frame events. They take the U.S. military presence near Gaza and depict it not as a cooperative partnership, but as a transition to direct American control.
That framing is highly destabilizing. The core message is that Israel's most crucial strategic decisions, from ceasefires to large-scale military operations, are dictated not in Jerusalem, but in Washington.
And by doing that, they damage Israel's international standing.
And severely undermine internal public confidence in the leadership's ability to control its own destiny or achieve victory.
The second narrative is designed purely to incite internal fracturing, promoting the idea of internal systemic collapse.
Right.
They essentially take existing domestic anxieties and turn the volume up to 11.
Exactly. This theme involves the systematic curation and reframing of legitimate Israeli news items, political disagreements, social challenges, and presenting them as undeniable proof of total fragmentation. They look for fissures everywhere.
What are some of the domestic friction points they cite? I mean, they have to be specific to resonate, right?
Yeah. They are very granular. They highlight alleged civil-military tensions, using public debates as evidence that the alliance between the army and the government is breaking down.
They also stoke demographic anxiety.
Yes, by claiming a massive, unprecedented exodus, stating that 80,000 Israelis left the country in 2024, framing this as a strategic threat fueled by insecurity.
Yeah.
They also focus on social inequity, pointing to disparities in compensation for bereaved families. The cumulative effect is designed to depict the state as weakening, decaying, and incapable of providing basic stability.
It's psychological judo, turning every national stress test into a sign of existential, irreversible decline.
Which perfectly sets up the third major narrative: economic erosion and strategic failure.
Right.
They take the economic slowdown, the inevitable consequence of war on sectors like tech and real estate, and frame it not as a temporary condition, but as deep structural erosion.
And they say this is being concealed.
They argue that this collapse is proceeding inexorably, even if security censorship tries to conceal the details.
So the ultimate objective here is clearly to accelerate social polarization and, most critically, shatter the fundamental myth of Israeli military supremacy.
The entire media strategy serves that purpose. They showcase recent wars as proof that Israel cannot achieve a decisive strategic victory against Hamas or Hezbollah, even with overwhelming technological superiority.
So they argue assassinations are meaningless.
They argue that targeted assassinations are strategically meaningless because replacements are appointed instantly. Al-Qanatic media is essentially pushing the idea that the resistance axis has fundamentally shifted regional power dynamics. It's a powerful narrative designed to foster exhaustion and doubt among the population.
We've discussed the cognitive assault. Now we must turn to the physical kinetic planning that is running in perfect parallel.
Yes, and the sources provide extraordinary detail confirming that Hamas has been meticulously building a full-scale military infrastructure outside of Gaza.
Specifically within the sensitive environment of Lebanon. This covert buildup is the physical complement to the cognitive war. Where exactly in Lebanon is Hamas concentrating this activity?
It's heavily concentrated within the dozen or so UNRWA-administered Palestinian refugee camps in Lebanon.
Yeah.
You're looking at a population of roughly 200,000 Palestinians living in areas that are dense, often neglected, and largely outside the full operational control of the Lebanese state.
And we're talking specific camps.
Yes, camps like Rashadia and Burj al-Shamali in Tyre, Ain al-Hilway in Sidon, and Burj al-Brajna near Beirut. These camps provide the ideal, dense, urban cover for clandestine operations.
And this wasn't a reactive move. The planning for this northern front began years ago.
It was a calculated, proactive strategy. The reports show Israeli officials noted this trend starting as early as 2017 and 2018.
What were they citing?
The establishment of clandestine rocket factories and training camps in South Lebanon. These facilities were explicitly funded by Iran and supervised by Hezbollah.
Wow.
The intent was clear: establish a new independent operational front
To relieve pressure on Gaza.
and create a multi-front threat capability.
And the proof of concept for this arrived in 2021.
It did. Between May and August 2021, Grad rockets were launched from Lebanese territory into Israel, timed to coincide with fighting in Gaza.
Which confirmed their ability to open that northern front.
It confirmed Hamas's ability to generate an independent northern front, giving them the flexibility to strike Israel from both the south and the north simultaneously.
Here is where the logistics become astonishingly complex. The entire operation is run by a command structure called the Construction Bureau.
A name that sounds completely benign.
Utterly benign.
And that's the point. It's a brilliant cover for what is essentially a covert military general staff. The Construction Bureau's core mission is to build this secret military force in Lebanon, but the critical directive is compartmentalization.
So they have to hide what they're doing.
They must conceal their activity, not just from Lebanese authorities, but most surprisingly, explicitly from Hezbollah itself.
From Hezbollah.
Yes. The internal documents reveal they use the codename Hazem when referring to Hezbollah, ensuring their communications about their most sensitive projects remain secret even from their supposed Axis partner.
The internal friction within the Axis is so profound that one proxy has to run shell companies and use code names to hide military development from another. That is a truly fascinating detail.
It reveals the deep strategic mistrust, despite the shared ideology of anti-Israel resistance.
Who are the leaders running this shadow army?
At the top is Majid Kader Mahmoud Kader, known as Abu Fadi. He's the head of the bureau, responsible for the overarching strategy of secrecy.
And he's on the ground now.
He relocated from Istanbul to Lebanon recently, suggesting a heightened need for operational control. Crucially, his deputy is Mohammed Ibrahim Wad Salim, a mechanical engineer who functions as the head of production.
A mechanical engineer leading rocket development, that detail highlights their focus on shifting from simply receiving weapons to achieving self-sufficiency in sophisticated weaponry.
Salim is central to their efforts. He is responsible for establishing manufacturing workshops in Lebanon and is a leader in developing medium-range rockets, improving the accuracy of rockets and even UAVs and miniature explosive submarines.
This is professional engineering applied to terrorist infrastructure.
It is. And the Construction Bureau is essentially a state's administrative apparatus tailored for covert warfare.
It's an organizational marvel.
It is, if you consider its illegal nature. It includes logistics, finance, communications, human resources, and a general administration. They handle everything from paying salaries to managing real estate and securing training facilities.
Let's drill down on the specific technical departments. What was the mandate of the production department?
The production department under Salim is heavily involved in R&D, production, and procurement. They use front organizations and shell companies to acquire materials without raising suspicion.
The report specifically named Farkco.
Yes, a shell company operating out of Turkey. And the listed owners include Dr. Mohammed Taisir, who holds a PhD in robotics from the UK.
Wait, a PhD in robotics from a Western institution running a shell company in Turkey, procuring specialized goods for Hamas's rocket division in Lebanon.
It connects so many disparate dots.
It really does. It demonstrates the sophistication.
Right. Turkey provides a crucial hub for legal and illicit procurement because of its complex customs environment. And they are not looking for simple items. They're trying to acquire specific sensors, guidance systems, specialized composite materials.
Technology to improve accuracy?
Exactly. And their production goals were extremely ambitious for a covert group.
What were they?
The 2018 work plan detailed an astonishing plan through 2022. The production of 500 rockets with ranges up to 75 kilometers and 12 sophisticated drones with various capabilities.
And to do this, they sent people for training.
All over. Operatives traveled globally, specifically mentioning courses in Malaysia for UAV piloting and technical training.
How logistically are they hiding manufacturing workshops capable of building these rockets inside cramped refugee camps?
This is where their tactics become deeply cynical. The reliance on the human shield tactic. The production workshops and assembly sites are deliberately located in the densest civilian areas, using the residential environment for protection and to maintain covert status. The sources provide evidence down to the street address, citing a central weapons manufacturing workshop located in the Abi bin Ka'b Mosque in the Burj al-Shamali refugee camp.
Placing military production inside a house of worship in a crowded civilian area is intended to guarantee that any strike against that target will result in massive civilian collateral damage.
It maximizes opacity and risk for any attacking force. This tactic is mirrored in their training infrastructure.
Which is also hidden in the camps.
Yes. The Training and Instruction Department runs specialized courses, snipers, anti-tank warfare, urban warfare, and notably Hebrew language training. All from camouflaged facilities operating entirely within the dense camp environment.
Why the emphasis on Hebrew language training?
That falls under the mandate of the Military Intelligence Department. They are tasked with creating a sophisticated target bank and developing a detailed intelligence picture of Israeli and Jewish targets globally.
And Hebrew competency is crucial for that.
It's non-negotiable for effective intelligence gathering, communication interception, and potential infiltration planning. It signals a shift toward proactive, deep strike intelligence capability.
Finally, let's look at the actual fighting units they created.
They're structured for combat readiness. The Al-Shamali unit, commanded by William Abu Shanab, or Bilal, operates across 5 regions.
And he's an expert in UAVs.
He is, trained by Iran and in Indonesia. Their 2018 plan aimed to establish 2 fully equipped battalions of 600 fighters, including 125 Nube, or elite forces.
Their goals?
To achieve a rapid rocket fire capacity of 200 rockets in 2 confrontations, alongside developing suicide drones and intelligence-gathering drones.
And the second unit shows a similar independent focus.
The Khalid Ali unit runs similar missions, focusing heavily on secrecy. They oversee Project Saad, which is a highly compartmentalized rocket manufacturing project. It runs entirely under civilian cover to avoid detection by Lebanese authorities.
Which again demonstrates that operational self-sufficiency is their highest priority.
It does, and the fact that the project manager is a chemist further underlines the commitment to maintaining technical expertise internally. They don't want to rely on outside help for crucial material production.
It is genuinely difficult to hold these two ideas in my head simultaneously.
What two ideas?
On one hand, this vast, organized network called the Axis of Resistance. On the other, the leader of Hamas's military wing is using code names to hide his submarine prototypes from his supposed partner, Hezbollah.
It's a paradox.
It is. This brings us to the fundamental paradox. Deep sectarian division coexisting with intense, pragmatic, strategic unity.
This paradox is the essential mechanism of the Axis. The relationship between the Shia-led Axis Iran, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Sunni group Hamas is purely one of shared interest.
Pragmatic convenience.
Exactly. It is not an alliance built on affection or shared theology, but on the practical need for mutual military support against a shared enemy.
Let's trace Hamas's history to show just how deep that ideological rift ran. It wasn't just a mild disagreement.
No, it was an existential break. Hamas initially enjoyed deep Iranian support, but when the Syrian civil war broke out in 2011, Hamas, linked to the Muslim Brotherhood, chose to support the Sunni rebel forces fighting against the Iranian and Hezbollah-backed Assad regime.
Which placed Hamas in direct opposition to Iran's most vital strategic ally in the Levant.
It created a severe immediate crisis. Relations froze. Iran cut off most funding. Hamas was forced to close its headquarters in Damascus and relocate its entire leadership to Qatar and Turkey.
There were even public displays of defiance.
Yes, former Hamas leader Khaled Mashal reportedly hoisting the Free Syrian Army flag. This was a massive ideological line in the sand.
So how did a rift that severe, which involved backing opposing sides in a brutal civil war, get papered over?
It was a strategic choice by the top leadership in Tehran, prioritizing regional power projection over ideological purity. Iran and Hezbollah eventually chose to put the ideological rift over Syria aside for the sake of strategic necessity.
But reconciliation with Syria was off the table.
It remained off the table unless Hamas issued a full public apology, which they refused to do.
So Iran had to manufacture a new kind of glue to hold the network together.
Precisely. Supreme Leader Khamenei focused on the concept of Palestine itself as the most important issue in the Islamic world,
turning the liberation of Palestine into an ideology that transcends the Sunni-Shia divide.
That's a powerful political tool.
Right.
It transforms a national struggle into the central, unifying cause for the entire network.
And it allows Iran to maintain its claim to regional leadership against its Sunni rivals.
It does. By championing this cause, they successfully unify Shia and Sunni elements under a single strategic banner against Israel. This arrangement allows Iran to keep the pressure maximized on multiple fronts.
But those deep-seated tensions remain, particularly between Hamas and Hezbollah on the ground in Lebanon. I find the clash of their institutional identities fascinating.
The tension is inherent because their mandates conflict locally. Hezbollah views itself as the sovereign political and military entity, the protector of all Lebanese. For them, Palestinians are simply just guests in the Lebanese arena.
Not autonomous political actors.
Not at all. Conversely, Hamas views itself as the protector of all Palestinians globally. This difference in perception leads to profound conflicts over operational control.
And the sources confirm that Hamas's operational independence has actually become a major headache for Hezbollah.
It has. Hamas's independent rocket fire from Lebanon in 2021, which wasn't coordinated, directly put Hezbollah in a difficult position.
How so?
It sometimes forced Hezbollah to participate in the rocket fire to maintain its own deterrence image, even when Hezbollah may not have genuinely desired escalation at that moment.
So this shows Hamas is willing to act unilaterally.
It shows they're willing to act unilaterally to advance their own agenda, even if it compromises the localized strategic interests and relative stability that Hezbollah seeks to maintain in its own sphere.
So if I'm synthesizing this, Iran is the banker and the strategic director, but the control isn't absolute.
That's right.
Hamas is not a puppet. It's a powerful client with its own agenda.
That is the essential distinction. Hamas relies heavily on Iran for financial aid up to $350 million a year for its military wing and for weapons technology.
And Iran needs Hamas.
Iran, seeking regional legitimacy, needs Hamas as its key proxy in the Palestinian arena. But Hamas has a history of volatility, its support for Syrian rebels, and internal opposition to Iran ties. They all serve as constant warning signs to Tehran that the loyalty is conditional.
It's an alliance held together by external pressure and enormous cash flow, not by internal trust.
Which makes the network powerful, but its internal friction makes it profoundly unpredictable for the region.
We have mapped the kinetic structure and its paradoxical alliances. Now we shift fully to the ultimate modern battle space, the digital war over reality itself.
a war which is accelerating due to the industrial application of generative AI.
The sources ground this discussion in the hypothetical June 2025 Iran-Israel conflict, detailing an information crisis that seems almost impossible to manage.
That 12-day war created a perfect storm for information manipulation. Citizens were subjected to a constant barrage of conflicting narratives, compounded severely by near-total internet blackouts imposed by the Iranian regime.
Which is a known tactic.
A known tactic used to control narrative and suppress dissent. This created a profound information vacuum, followed by a torrent of strategic manipulation when connectivity was restored.
The use of AI-generated content synthetic media escalated this far beyond traditional media bias. The reports call this disinformation operating at an industrial level.
That phrase is crucial. We are past recycled images or video game clips being mislabeled. This conflict saw the mass, instantaneous proliferation of sophisticated AI deepfakes.
So it wasn't just an absence of information, but a pollution of it.
An overwhelming pollution of information when the channels reopened. The speed and volume of synthetic content distribution were unprecedented.
Let's examine specific examples, starting with the surprising use of AI by pro-Israel actors regarding the Evin prison strike.
This case is a perfect illustration of perception management. After the bombing of Evin prison, the Israeli foreign minister posted a video claiming to show a clean surgical strike on the entrance gates.
But it wasn't real.
Forensic analysis strongly suggested this video was likely AI-generated, specifically manipulating still images of the prison gates that dated back to 2021.
Why deploy an AI deepfake if a strike actually occurred?
To shape the narrative immediately and precisely. The reality, according to human rights groups like Aprende, was grim. The attack was far from surgical, resulting in significant civilian collateral damage.
Hundreds killed.
Estimates showed 417 civilians killed and over 2,000 injured across Iran by June 25. The pro-Israel AI video served to replace that grim reality with a narrative of a precise, symbolic blow against the regime's oppression. It sanitized the action.
And on the pro-Iran side, the industrial application was equally aggressive.
Absolutely. Iran supporters circulated AI-generated videos purporting to show successful missile strikes on Tel Aviv. In some cases, these videos were uploaded so quickly they still bore the easily identifiable Google VO watermarks.
They didn't even strip them out.
They failed to strip them out.
Yeah.
Iranian state television itself broadcast AI-generated images of Israeli F-35 planes allegedly being shot down. It demonstrates a massive investment in rapid synthetic content creation.
The sources also point to activist-driven synthetic media participatory campaigning as a major factor in shaping global perception.
Right, the most famous example is the AI-generated image for the All Eyes on Rafah slogan. This single synthetic image was shared over 47 million times.
Wow.
It demonstrates the extraordinary viral potential of accessible AI tools to mobilize global attention. While the image was clearly synthetic, its reach dwarfed that of traditional media reports and genuine documentation. It defined a global narrative moment.
This leaves us facing a monumental problem. How can anyone discern reality when the fakes are high quality, instantly disseminated, and driven by state-level resources?
The challenge of detection is now multifaceted, relying on two main approaches: post hoc detection and provenance infrastructure.
Post hoc is analyzing content after the fact.
Right. Tools used by analysts like the Deepfake's Rapid Response Force. They look for statistical patterns, inconsistencies in lighting, anomalies, anything that gives away the manipulation.
But these tools seem to struggle immensely in the chaotic environment of a real conflict.
That is the core limitation. Most forensic tools are designed for high-resolution video and fail completely on low-quality social media video from Telegram or WhatsApp.
And the output is ambiguous.
It's often an ambiguous output. A confidence score like 73% likelihood of fakery, which is almost useless to a journalist on a deadline or a civilian trying to verify information.
The case of the Borhan Street strike video perfectly illustrates this breakdown in consensus.
It was an information nightmare. The strike was confirmed, casualties were real. But when sophisticated analysts examined the circulated video, some advanced detection tools found conclusive evidence of generative AI use.
And others didn't.
Other respected open-source intelligence groups and major media outlets found no conclusive signs of fakery. The fact that experts could not agree means everyone is navigating a fog of war without a reliable signal of reality.
That level of uncertainty is devastating. It means that even genuine footage can be easily dismissed by critics simply by alleging it's an AI deepfake, further eroding public trust.
Exactly. The information vacuum allows bad actors to operate with impunity. This leads us to the second approach to managing this crisis: provenance tools.
Provenance tools like C2PA or Google's Synthetide aim to provide a content history, like a digital passport. But this approach introduces a serious human rights dilemma in repressive regimes like Iran.
This is the surveillance dilemma, and it's arguably the most sensitive issue. Provenance standards aim to embed invisible watermarks or metadata documenting the content's origin and modification history.
Which is great for news organizations.
Vital for them. However, if these tools aren't meticulously designed, new mechanism of state control.
How would that function as a tool of repression?
The risk lies in linking media creation to individual identity. If a provenance tool, for security reasons, ties the content's metadata back to the user's identity or device, it creates a backdoor for state surveillance.
So documenting dissent becomes traceable.
Exactly. It could be used to track, arrest, and suppress activists, journalists, or even ordinary citizens by linking their digital output directly to their real-world identity.
So the technology designed to increase trust in democracies could become a tool for silencing dissent in autocracies.
The burden is on the tech companies. If these tools are to be viable globally, they must solely focus on documenting the nature of the content, how AI and human inputs were mixed, without ever revealing the identity of the creator.
Anonymity has to be part of the design.
It has to be built into the core design architecture. If they fail to do that, they risk exacerbating the very human rights problems they're often deployed to expose.
So if we synthesize the vast array of material we've covered, we are looking at a conflict that is terrifyingly multidimensional.
It is.
On one hand, we have the highly traditional bureaucratic military organization of the Axis of Resistance Hezbollah's immense state-like arsenal and the stunningly precise covert logistics of Hamas's construction bureau.
Building weapons in civilian areas of Lebanon.
And running in perfect parallel, we have this massive industrial scale of media manipulation driven by state actors and proxies like Al-Qanadek, leveraging generative AI to wage a simultaneous war over what is real
and what is fake. It forces us to understand that Iran's proxy network is functioning at an elite operational level in both the kinetic and cognitive domains simultaneously.
The logistics of the construction bureau alone are incredible.
They are, with specialized departments for production, intelligence, and finance, running shell companies out of Turkey. It shows military expansion is a strategic, bureaucratic priority, moving Hamas far beyond its original Gaza-centric mission.
The key takeaway for our learner, then, is understanding the paradoxical foundation of this entire enterprise.
I think so.
The axis of resistance is held together by practical anti-Israel interests, cash flow, shared enmity, strategic objectives, which are powerful enough to override deep-seated, historically volatile ideological differences.
Especially between Shia Iran and Sunni Hamas. And critically, the military expansion of non-state actors like Hamas into Lebanon challenges the traditional stability of regional conflict. It introduces a new, independent source of potential, rapid escalation on the northern border that complicates Hezbollah's strategic position and further compromises the Lebanese state's sovereignty.
So what does this all mean for the near future of conflict escalation? What is the final provocative thought we should leave our listener with?
While the common ideology of Palestine is the ideological adhesive that unifies the Axis, Hamas has demonstrated willingness to operate autonomously.
Even at the expense of Hezbollah's local interests.
Exactly. Using Lebanese soil for rockets without coordination or concealing his own operations, it means that the next devastating escalation could be triggered not solely by Iranian direction, but by a localized, autonomous action from a proxy seeking to advance its own specific agenda.
So Hamas's volatility is a calculated risk.
It's a risk that threatens to ignite a much wider war on the northern front, based entirely on its own timing, irrespective of its powerful patrons.
That's a sobering thought. The least predictable and most ambitious actor within the Axis may now hold the most dangerous match. Thank you for helping us map this incredibly complex and rapidly evolving conflict landscape.
My pleasure.
To our learner, thank you for providing the sources for this critical deep dive. We hope this has given you the foundational knowledge you need to navigate this intersection of geopolitics and digital warfare.
Stay curious, stay critical.
And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.